camera you're hiding.
Okay, Jay's recording. Hey, Elise. You guys don't know who Elise is. Elise rocks. She does rock. She's pretty freaking awesome. If you guys follow her on TikTok, she's absolutely brilliant, brilliant mind, awesome techniques. So if you guys can find Elise Rocks on Instagram and TikTok, she's awesome and she absolutely loves Magics too, which is
she's super fabulous. And a side note is that back in the day, I actually used to assist her. She is really cool.
She told me that, and I was like, what a small world.
Yes. So she's fabulous. Go follow her.
Go follow her. Show the Instagram love. All right, look at, we've got a nice amount of people here. Hi, everyone. So, okay, what I had, for those of you who are just joining us, what I was asking was, go ahead and put in the chat box where you're joining us from. And then I have a second question until everybody starts popping on. Second question is, where are you in your Magics 10 journey? So are you brand new, haven't tried it? Are you at the, okay, I've dabbled a little bit, I'm playing with it, or are you using Magics, loving it, wanting more information? Where are you at? Just so I have an idea on how to communicate properly so that, you know, you guys really get what we're trying to do here.
Emily Robinson is brand new. Yay. Welcome, Emily.
Yay. Oh, you're
and
like
Irma Almeda has never used it either.
All right, we got Blue from Phoenix. I think I've spoken to you, Blue, maybe. We do have Magic's crew in the house. I see you, Melody. Jamie, you're new, brand new, newbie.
Michelle Austin says, using, loving, wanting more. I know,
yes.
I feel the exact same way. I'm obsessed.
Give me all of it. Just ordered, haven't used it. Perry, you're playing with it. I'm so happy you're playing with it.
Yvonne Zagers, she got her box of goodies last week and has used it 3 times and loves.
Yes. Somebody said ordered the Nikki Wildflower box and waiting to receive. So we will have an update on that. There's a little bit of a shipping delay for some of you. So with the kit that you guys ordered last week or a week and a half ago, we are doing our best to fulfill all those orders, but there has been a little shipping delay. Okay. Still kind of new, loving it. I've been using Magics for more than 2 years now. Tennessee in the house. Okay, using it, loving it, wanting, that's what you're saying. Carolyn using it exclusively, yes. And I applaud Carolyn. She hits me up on Instagram with all the questions, and I love the curiosity and the always wanting to learn and striving to really understand everything. I commend that. Okay, waiting on the kit. Yep, waiting on the kit. I get that, guys. Okay, what is this? Considering the brand change, says Linda J. Very cool. Okay, so we have a lot more people here who are newer to Magics. I know there's a couple of the Magics crew in here, a couple of seasoned Magics users. So I'm really excited for what is in store for you, not only today in our webinar, but with what is possible for you if you choose to start using Magics 10 with your clients. So not only it's exciting what's possible for you, but I think you will find that the excitement and the gratitude that your clients are going to feel is unlike anything else. So I always say I brought Magics on selfishly, and I'll get into that. But what I didn't know is how much my clients were going to appreciate. And like now they tell me like, I can't ever imagine you using normal hair color. Like I can't be here for 2 hours. I'm like, I know, girl, I got you. I got you.
Yes.
Okay, so
I'm going to go ahead and add it for everyone that is not following Magics on Instagram yet. I'm going to add that to our chat right now, so you guys can go ahead and do that. And then someone also asked about Elise Rock, so I'm going to go ahead and put her Instagram in there as well.
Woo, woo, Elise, very fun. Thomas says using daily. Awesome. Okay. So at this point, I think what I want to do is I want to get our webinar started. We're about 5 minutes after 9. And most likely what's going to happen, Jordan, just so you know, more people are going to start trickling in. But I want to get started because we promised to get started early, and I want to make sure that I give as much as I can in this amount of time. We allotted a little over an hour for this, and it may go longer depending on the questions and kind of like the conversation that we all have. So I wanted to do a quick introduction for those of you that might not know who I am. My name is Araz Nelson. I'm the lead educator for Magix 10 in North America and Canada. So I was introduced to Magix 10 a little bit, maybe five or so years ago, as this revolutionary new color line. I've been doing hair for 20 years and I've been educating for 15. And I was like, what's so revolutionary? Color is color, right? Like color is color. What's the big deal? And somebody was like, well, it processes in 10 minutes. I said, okay, great, but that's nothing new. So for those of you who are in the chat box, how many of you have tried 10-minute color before? Not Magix, but 10-minute color before, just say I. And so I wasn't that excited because I had had experience with this idea of 10-minute color. Now I love the idea of it, right? I love the concept, like saving time, making more money, but I hadn't found something that performed the way I wanted to. And so I still gave it a shot because I believe that I always have to try new things and see what's out there. And so I ended up giving it a shot. And clearly 5 years later, here I am because it rocked my world. What I will say is, hang on one second, let me do this really quickly. Okay. What I will say is I wasn't expecting to get the results that I got. And more importantly, I wasn't expecting my business to change the way that it did. And so when I say that Magix can revolutionize your business, I speak from solid experience of what has transformed in my business in the last 5 years. And so obviously I started using it, I brought it on. And once I fell in love with it, I called Magix. I'm like, hey, I need to get more involved with this because there is a huge need in my beautiful industry for something like this. And fast forward to 2020 COVID, we all experienced that. And what ended up happening is that need that I saw like 4 or 5 years ago, a lot more people started to see, right? A lot more people were just like, hey, we need to get clients in and out quicker. We need to service all of these clients who've been waiting for weeks, months, or however long. And so I feel like in the last 1.5 or 2 years, there's so many more of you who are just like, yes, I could use something like Magix 10. And now you're trying it, you're using it, and seeing the benefit of it. So I wanted to give you just a quick background on who I am. Yes, Thomas says nobody else has such a complete line. So we're going to get into that as well. But before I continue, you guys will see the beautiful Jordan on screen. And I want her to tell you a little bit about who she is.
Okay, I'll keep it short and sweet, but my name is Jordan Olawumi. I am a hair designer based in downtown Chicago. I grew up basically in the hair industry, and I've had my business this November about 9 years. It's called Salon Snob, yay. Yeah, so I was using, other lines before as well. And my rep, I'm gonna give them a shout out, Fine Line Distributor. So anybody that's in Illinois, they are a distribution out of Illinois. If you watched the Magix 10 takeover that I did, you would have seen that I went to the warehouse. It's super cute and family kind of operated. But anyway, so he approached me with this line and I was like, no, I love what I have. Like, I'm not really interested. And he's like, just try it. And I'm like, okay, great. So I tried it. I never went back. It's absolutely amazing. And I have for a very long time had a small studio with 1 or 2 chairs. And I will say that I have been using it for about like 1.5 years, maybe almost 2 years. I don't know, time flies. And I, June 1st, just did a huge renovation and opened my dream salon. I will say that it definitely Magix 10 was a stepping stone for that. And I'll tell you why, because the 10-minute color allowed for a stylist like myself with a small independent salon to be able to take on more clients, which in turn was more revenue and more income. And I'm so thankful for Magix 10 because it works, it's fast, and you don't have to worry about it ever disappointing you.
Yes. So also I want to give a shout out to Jordan. So Jordan is part of our Magix crew. And the Magix crew is just a group of people who are brand ambassadors, brand influencers, potentially brand educators. And so Jordan did such a great job with her story takeover. If you haven't seen it, go on Instagram. She shared how she uses Magix 10 on a daily basis. Mind you, she was like 11 months pregnant when she took like 15 clients in a day. And so to give her the opportunity to do that was really cool. So anyways, so can you guys see, who do you guys see on the screen right now? Is it Jordan or is it me?
They can't see me.
Well, I changed it so where they should have been able to see you. And now you guys see me. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I have our model here and I'm going to transition into a different camera in a second. But I want to give you just a brief background on Magix 10 before I get into showing you our model. She let her gray hair grow for us and it's perfect. But for those of you who are new to Magix 10, I want you guys to know a little background, a little company culture kind of situation. So Moan has been around. Moan International is parent company. Magix 10 is the color line. Since 2011 was the initial launch of Magix 10. In 2015, took everything off, reformulated with newer technology and relaunched the new Magix 10. Now, I believe it was somebody, I think it was Thomas, I'm not exactly sure, said that there is no other 10-minute color line that is as wide of a range. So with Magix 10, and I'm going to get into all the technology, but what you need to know is it is a permanent color. We have ultra lift blondes. We can make our Magix 10 color into an alkaline demi, a long lasting demi, an acidic demi. We have a lightener and we have 92 shades to choose from. So I always say that the Magix brand, the vision is to make hairdressers' life easier. The 10-minute color isn't a secondary brand because it's niche and on trend. This is all we do. So most other 10-minute color lines, they have their regular line, right? They have their whatever, and then there's a secondary support that's like 10-minute, and a secondary support that's demi-permanent, and a secondary support that's semi-permanent. Whereas with Magix 10, our whole line, our whole focus is how do we make the hairdresser's life easier? How do we get hairdressers to make more money, to save more time, to basically be able to work and build a business, but still have time to have a social life? I have a child, Jordan has children. We don't want to be working 12 or 13-hour days. And so the ideology of Magix 10 is to support us as hairdressers. Really quick, I just see stupid question. Our cameras and mics are off. Yes, they are. You will not be embarrassing yourself, Michelle. So we do this webinar style instead of like a Zoom meeting because we have so many people who thankfully want to be part of these webinars. And so you don't have to look cute. We don't have to hear you. The chat box is where you're going to do all of your communication. So in a minute, when I turn my camera over to introduce the model, I will not be able to see the chat box. So one of the reasons Jordan is here is she will be fielding any questions over to me. She will be helping answer questions. And so we're going to tag team this webinar. So without further ado,
I'm Magix 10 Surrey. So
yes.
if
so
anybody has any questions, just say, Jordan,
help. Okay. So you guys should see, let me see here. Can you see that I'm on my computer? You guys can see that? Yes, you can. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our model so you can walk on over. Have a seat.
Good morning.
How cute is she?
So cute.
Yes. So
she has really good hair.
She has good hair. She has great. So I'm going to do a close up so that you guys can see her sparklers. I say that with love. All right, so yes, I can no longer see the chat box, guys. So you guys can see okay, but I'm gonna give you a close-up. So here's what we're gonna do. Make sure you can see. So I have a little camera. Okay, so I have to watch my screen. This is the first time I've done this, so bear with me. So I wanted to show you guys a close-up of where she's at and what her natural looks like. I think you have way more. whites.
I think it needs
around.
to focus a little more the camera.
Okay. I'm using it on my hand, or I'm holding
Yeah.
it. That's why. Can you
That's
guys
a little
see
better.
okay?
A little bit, yeah.
Try and make it further like that.
Further is definitely better.
Further is better. Okay. Oop. Can we see the amount of gray hair? She's got quite a bit.
Would you say that she's approximately like 100% or more in like the 80 percentile range?
Yeah, so I would say her front is closer to 80%. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, you can see all my cords on the floor. So her front is closer to 80% and then not as much in the back, but she definitely has some nice regrowth right there. Give me 1 second. Let's transition back to here. So this is what I'm using to show you guys. All right, so from far away, you guys can also see that clearly she has roots. Look down for me then. So she's around 80% in the front. I would say 40 to 50% in the back. Her natural level is close to about a level 4. So the pepper in her hair is at a level 4, and then the rest of it is salt. So I'm going to be using on her today our newest color family, which is the True Neutrals. And so for those of you who have been with Magix for a while, you know that we didn't have neutrals. We had 2 different naturals, which I'm going to talk about. And we would have to finesse and mix a cooler natural and a warmer natural to make a neutral for gray coverage. And September 1st, we launched the True Neutrals, which are specifically for gray hair. So they are made for, I would say, over 30 or 40% gray hair, and that you want that full, robust coverage without having to think like, okay, maybe I need to mix a little bit of this, or I need to mix a little bit of that. It is just, you grab the level that you want, you mix it with your developer, and you apply. So I'm going to be using a level 6 on her today.
And Araz, we have
Yes.
a question. Have you used Magix 10 on her before, or will this be the first time?
No, we have used Magix 10 on her before. She was one of our first videos that we did about 2 or 3 years ago. My old formula with her was a 6 cool natural and a 6 ash. And then what I did over the years in tweaking her formula, before the True Neutrals, my formula for her was a 6 cool natural and 6 gold. And then now I've just been using the True Neutrals on her. And what I do with her hair is we will always do her root retouch. And then I will take a second formula and pull through on some of her ends. So one of the things that her and I both like for her hair, she has a lot of hair. And so if it's all just solid one color, it looks a little like moppy, like it doesn't have any dimension. So every time I do her roots with a permanent, I pull a little bit lighter level as a long lasting demi, and I'll talk about all of this. And I just kind of weave in organically some lowlights. If I see some ends that are too light, I'll weave in a little bit of darkness. And the reason we do that is to make sure that she has dimension, because if it's one solid color, it looks too heavy. So we layer her and then we give her dimension with color, but I don't have to highlight, right? I just pull through with the dark, and it ends up being beautiful. So no, this is not the first time we have used Magix on her. This is the second time I will be using the True Neutrals on her. So I'm using a level 6 True Neutral, and I will always, always, always recommend that we weigh out our color. So I'm not saying
I'm going to hop in right now because this will piggyback it. Someone asked, is the color opaque or translucent? And I would say professionally, if you mix it properly or weigh it out, then you will not have to deal with it being opaque or translucent. What would you say?
So, okay, that's a really good question. And here is my answer. The True Neutrals, I feel, are more opaque. So, and here's why. Think about it this way, guys. These are designed for gray coverage. So what do we need to get gray coverage? Like really good gray coverage. We need opacity. We need intensity. Hold on 1 second. I can do my math. There. Oh, oops. So we need intensity. We need opacity to make sure that we get proper gray coverage. So in my opinion, the True Neutrals, and they're not I don't want to say double pigment because they're not double pigment, but they are more intense. They are more opaque. The rest of the Magix 10 color line that can be used also for gray coverage, all of the colors you will get gray coverage. I believe the rest of the line is a little bit more reflective, which is one of the reasons I was super drawn once I started playing with Magix 10. I love the reflect that it gave. So I got beautiful gray coverage, but it didn't look. Okay, for those of you who have used other 10-minute color lines, not bashing, just results, right? How many times have you guys seen the results where it looks almost like shoe polish, right? Or it looks almost like there's no reflect. It tends to just typically look very shoe polishy. Have you guys experienced that? Because that was my experience with other 10-minute color. I'm like, I don't like this. I want to see some dimension. I want to see a little something happening.
Super flat. And yep, they've done it and it has not looked so good. Yes. And then also we have another question. Lou would like to know, are you formulating for her hair level or are you going a little bit lighter?
We're going a little bit lighter. So her hair level is a 4. The pepper is a 4. The salt is obviously gray. So I'm using a level 6 with 21 volume. So what it's going to do is just slightly lighten her. It's not a lot, but just slightly get her a little bit lighter. Because if we do a level 4 on her again, it's going to be too dark for her. We like to have a little bit of dimension and reflect. So she's a level 4, 80% salt and pepper in the front, 40 to 50 in the back. And I'm using a level 6 true neutral. And the true neutral is a 6.00N. And the reason I'm putting emphasis on that is because we also have a 0.00 family. So the true neutrals that are going to give you the best gray coverage, that's the 0.00N. So I'm using it in a level 6. I'm using 21 volume, which is going to be probably your best bet when you're dealing with gray coverage. And I will apply on her roots and her regrowth. And then once I finish my application, I'm going to mix a secondary formula to deepen and darken and organically low light just a few pieces in her ends to make sure that we kind of, I mean, it's a little too light. So we're going to darken it up a little bit. We're going to add that dimension back in. So back to the opacity and translucent question, and maybe this doesn't apply to you, maybe it does. So I feel like there's still a lot of people who maybe don't fully understand the difference between opaque and translucent, because I've seen it used flip-flopped. Okay, so just for clarity, again, if you know this, cool, but there's a lot of people who don't. So opaque means darker. Opaque means, I guess a good analogy would be like lipstick versus lip gloss. Lipstick is more opaque. It's a darker, richer, more robust effect. And then translucent or reflective is more like lip gloss. So you can get a lip gloss that gives your lips color, but it's a little bit more translucent. Or kind of like leggings and pantyhose, tights and pantyhose. The darker is more opaque, the lighter is more translucent. So when I'm talking about the true neutrals, I feel they're a little bit more opaque compared to the rest of the Magix 10 line. But even still, you're not going to get this flat and murky end result. It's still very reflective. Put your chin down for me. Thank you.
So Araz, would you say that the true neutrals are more resistant, are for more resistant clients, while the regular 6.00 is for easy to cover gray? Sorry, I'm reading it as more coming in.
No, it's fine. So, okay, let's talk about the tonal families really quickly, just so we all get a little bit of clarity, especially for those of you that are newer, right? Like if you don't have experience with Magix, you're probably sitting there like, what does all of this mean? So up until the launch of the true neutrals, we have, like I said earlier, 2 natural families. So natural, neutral. For gray coverage, you need neutral. So the 2 different natural families that we have is a 0.0 and 0.00. What had happened is, as most hairdressers, you know, we would grab the 0.00, or most people would grab the 0.00 thinking that it was for additional gray coverage. And that's not the case. So the 0.0 family is a cool natural, which means it's brown and it has a tonal reflect of a yellow green. Okay. The 0.00 is a warm natural. So it has a brown with a yellow orange. It was not double pigmented for extra gray coverage. The 0.00 is not designed for that. 0.00N is. So if you grab just a 0.00 from Magix, you are thinking you're going to get better gray coverage. You're not going to, right? So the 0.00 is going to give you a warmer result. 0.00 can be used with the reds, any red for gray coverage because it's a little bit warmer, but it's not designed to be like the NN or the 0.00 that most manufacturers have. That's not what it's for. So the true neutrals, that's kind of what was the catalyst of launching them, was because so many people were grabbing 0.00 thinking, oh, this is what I need for extra gray coverage. And then I get like DMs and texts like, hey, this is a little warm. I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to be. So now the true neutrals 0.00, and that's what you're going to use for your gray coverage. So what I was talking about earlier about making sure that you weigh or measure, however you do it, the importance of that. Maybe you do weigh and measure, and good job for you. I'm proud of you, but there's a lot of stylists that I know. Again, I've been teaching for 15 years. I've been in salons. I know my industry and I love us. But sometimes we eyeball things, right? And I guess if it works, cool. But what I'm going to say is when we're dealing with getting accurate results, measuring and making sure that our formulations are properly measured is so important. So here's what I want you guys to think about. If I didn't measure and I just eyeballed my formula, what would happen if I accidentally put too much color and not enough developer? So our mixing ratio for gray coverage is equal parts, right? I did 50 grams of color, 50 grams of 21 volume developer. So how about if I accidentally did 50 grams of color and only 30 grams of developer? What could happen with my results? Too much color, not enough developer. This is when you guys want to use the chat box and put in what you think might happen.
I have a few other questions for you, but people are saying it went too dark, not enough lift and deposit, a wash
Bingo.
and not take well, darker, won't process flat.
Bingo. So too much color, too much dye, too much alkalinity, not enough developer. We are not going to get full dye development. And we're also not going to get, it's going to be too saturated. Now, what would happen if it was the opposite? So say I put 50 grams of color and I accidentally squirted 60 or 70 grams of developer. What could my results be?
Too sheer.
Too sheer, not enough deposit. Could it possibly look like hot roots because it didn't fully deposit? I'm saying all of this because we tend to always, just as an industry, we blame like different manufacturers, like, oh, this grabbed too green, this was too translucent, this was too. Most of the time, if we're formulating properly, we're going to get the results. So if you're using Magix and maybe you're not getting a full deposit, the first question I ask is, did you measure? I will always ask that first. Did you make sure to measure? Because it's so important. Like you guys said, if I put too much developer in her hair color bowl, she's not going to get the coverage that she wants or the coverage that she needs. It's going to look translucent. And then she's going to be upset and I'm going to be upset. But I need to realize that it's me, right? Did I measure? Did I make sure that I formulated properly? So there's that. Jordan, you said there's some questions.
Yeah. Do you ever mix other shades with the 00 neutral?
I do, yes. So the true neutrals can be used on their own, meaning you grab a level 5, 6, 7, whatever you need for gray coverage. But if you want a little bit more tonal direction, so say you want a little bit of a red or a gold or an ash or a copper, you can definitely mix the true neutrals with any of the other Magix 10 colors and you will be fine. I will go over kind of like your gray coverage rules, but typically, at least 25 to 50% of your formula should be true neutrals if you're dealing with over 50% gray. So if I wanted to do an ash on her, then I would do half of my formula with a true neutral and half of my formula with an ash. I don't have to do 80% because she's 80% gray. 50% of your formula will give you the coverage that you need for over 50% gray. So even at 90% gray, you can do half true neutral, half red copper, half true neutral, half gold. It really just depends on the tonal direction that you're wanting to go with your formula. But that's a great question.
And would the 6.00 add more warmth with 21 volume?
So if I add the 6.00 warm natural into the 6.00 N true neutral, yes, it will be warmer. It will still be brown, but it's going to have a warmer tone. So the true neutrals are perfectly balanced. So they're equal parts blue, red, and yellow, whereas the brown or the cool natural or the warm natural has a yellow green or a yellow orange tone to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you are so great. And then Amanda is asking, she's newer to this line. With the other shades, not the true neutrals, do you need to adjust your formula for gray coverage? Example, 75% natural to 25% fashion shade for 75% gray hair.
So a lot of other color lines, they will say, okay, percentage of gray is the percentage of neutral. With Magix, that's not the case. So what was the example she gave, Jordan?
She gave the example of 75% natural to 25% fashion shade for 75% gray hair.
So yes, so that's the math that most people do, right? Like percentage of gray is the percentage of neutral that's needed. And tell me if I'm missing the mark here, Jordan, but it seems like the formula that you're asking about, because the client had 75% gray, you have to put 75% of a neutral and then the rest is the fashion shade, right? Am I getting it right?
That's what I'm taking from this, yes.
Okay, so with Magix, you don't have to do that. And so if there is a fashion shade, say it's like copper, right? The most that you would need of true neutral is 50%. So when you're dealing, let's just get right into, when you're dealing with under 30% gray hair, you don't need to worry about mixing in a neutral or a natural. All of our colors will cover up to 30% gray hair. 30 to 50% gray hair, you want 5 to 25% of your formula to be the neutral. Okay, so we are trying to maintain the integrity and the vibrancy of the color, because I always used to get frustrated when it's like, okay, percentage of gray has to be the percentage of neutral. What if my client has 90% gray and wants to be like this beautiful red? Then I'm SOL. So with Magix, you don't have to do that. So again, when they're between 30 to 50% white hair, 5 to 25% of your formula should be true neutral. So 5% if you really want the fashion shade to be vibrant, and then 25% if you don't want it to be as vibrant and you want a little bit more of an opaque coverage. Over 50% gray, 25 to 50% of your formula should be true neutral. So if we're dealing with 80% gray, you only need half of your formula to be true neutral. The rest can be the fashion shade. Does that answer the question?
That was a great answer.
Whoever asked it, is that a little bit more clear?
It was Amanda.
Amanda, is that a little bit more clear for you? Give me a thumbs up if yes. If not, we can work with it a little more.
Still waiting on that.
All good.
And then is there going to be cool, warm, and true neutrals in the color line, or are they going to get rid of the cool neutrals?
We will have all of them.
So Amanda gave a thank you. Yes.
Awesome. Good. So there is no plans on getting rid of the cool natural or the warm natural. There is still a lot of space for them. So say you're dealing with a client who is under 30% and they just want to be a natural, then you can use the cool natural or the warm natural. If you root smudge, say you highlight and you want to do a root smudge or a root blend or a root tap or a root, there's 500 words for it. If you want to do that service, you could use the 0.0 or the 0.00, depending on if you want it cooler or warmer. So there is definitely still a lot of need for the 0.0 and the 0.00. Like for example, with pulling through on her ends today, I'm mixing a level 7 cool natural. So I'm not going to use the true neutrals to pull through and darken her. I don't have gray hair. I don't need opacity. I just want to create dimension and add some depth. So I'm going to use one level lighter and a level 7, and I'm going to use just the cool natural 0.0. So there's no plans on eliminating the 0.0 or the 0.00 as it stands right now. I think there's a need for those. So good question. They will still be here, especially for those of you Magix vets. If you've been using it for a while and you've been formulating your gray coverage, mixing 0.0 and 0.00, that option will still be available to you. So it's not like here, use the true neutrals, we're getting rid of everything else. That option is still available for you. Where's my, if you choose to use it, or you can replace with true neutrals as well. So for those of you who have tried the true neutrals, are we loving? Are we living for it? And then Jordan, if there's any other questions.
Yep, Araz, whenever you get a sec, can you touch on reds and gray and hot roots?
So what's the question?
Please touch on reds and gray and hot roots. I'm assuming that it's if somebody, a client has a lot of gray, would you, what formulations would you use so you don't achieve hot roots?
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of, that's a good point. So there's a couple of reasons we get hot roots, okay? One of the reasons is this, and maybe you do this, maybe this might be an aha moment for you. I've seen it a lot. People will mix the formula for their gray coverage and red, whatever the formula is, put it on the roots, and then take that same formula, pull it through the ends. And you do that again, you put it on the roots, put it through the ends. What tends to happen is over time, those ends brown out, and they get darker. So your same formula now will look like two different formulas because all of this hair has so much of that level 6 red and level 6 brown built into it that the new roots will always look hot. Okay, maybe that's the reason why you're experiencing hot roots. So if that's the case, what I would recommend is just like I'm doing with her, for the ends, don't use the same color you use for the roots. This hair is vastly different than this hair, right? This hair needs the true neutral because it's got gray. This doesn't. So if this was a red formulation, if I'm adding anything into my formula for the roots for gray coverage, I'm going to take it out for the ends. I don't need brown. So what I would do is I would mix maybe 6 true neutrals and 6 red, maybe a little bit of 6 gold for the roots. And then on the ends, I'm just going to use the 6 gold or the 6 red. I'm not going to put in a true neutral. So sometimes the hot roots come from pulling that dark color through over and over again to now it looks like the roots aren't getting covered. Another trick that I use, oh my gosh, the ring light is making me see.
I love using also, I just want to add to it. I love using golds in my red formulations. Tell
me why, or tell them why.
Because I feel like that is another, I can't really explain it properly, I'm sure, but the reason why I like it is because it adds vibrancy. I know that I will not get a hot root. And sometimes the reds are very high pigmented, which is great. I love that. So it kind of tones it down a little bit without taking away from giving my client the red tone that they want.
So you're saying you use gold?
Yes.
Yes, I love using gold as well. Yes, the 0.3. So the 0.3 has a lot of brown in it as well. What that does is the brown helps like diminish the hotness of the red, but the gold brings out the vibrancy. So you avoid getting the hot roots because you have that brown with the red for the root. And then the gold just makes it makes the red. It's called color harmony, right? Like the more gold you add to a formula, the brighter and more vibrant it looks, but we're using that brown to get that good gray coverage at the roots. Another trick that I use, and it's pretty unconventional, but I have used it before, is I'll put a little dot of ash in my red root formula if I know their hair's fine, and if I know that they have a lot of pheomelanin in their hair, I will put a little bit of ash to counteract what could happen. The other thing too is how big are their roots, how grown out, right? If it's like a 1/4 inch, you're fine. But if you're putting a formula on 2 inches of regrowth, you might have to do 2 different formulas for the baby root area that is not fully keratinized, and then the rest of the roots. So that could be another issue if you have a 2-inch root and you're using this beautiful red formula with 32 volume, that little 1/4 inch is going to get hot. So either use a different formula or add a smidgen of ash to help counteract that from happening. But typically, guys, typically it's because you may be pulling that same formula through. So the ends get super dark and browned out to where you might have to either lighten some of the ends out, and there's some products that can help you do that, or you darken the root color. So it kind of depends on the situation. It's kind of nuanced depending on what you're dealing with.
And then Araz, do you prefer applying top to bottom versus bottom to top as far as hair color?
So I prefer applying grayest first. So she is the grayest in the front. So I will do her hairline. I will do the beauty school T, right? And then I work on the front quadrants and then the back quadrants. And that's just personal preference. I like to work on the grayest hair first. Really quickly, I finished her application and now I'm going to mix a second formula. So I'm going to be using level 7 Cool Natural. So recap, the root was 6.00 N. So level 6 True Neutral. And then for her ends that I'm going to just organically low light, 7.0. I'm going one level lighter than my root formula because this is porous hair. If I put a 6 on this, it's going to look darker. If I put a 6 True Neutral, it's going to look even darker. So what I'm going to do is go up in a level. Okay, it's still Cool Natural, so I want to get rid of some of this brassy warmth. And then I'm going to mix it with 12 volume, making it a long-lasting demi. So the 12 volume gives it a demi-like effect, but it lasts longer than an acidic demi would. Okay, so
That was
notice,
that was a 7.0.
7.0.
Yep, plus 12 volume.
Yes, and I'm mixing equal parts. So I have 45 grams of 7.0, and then I will do 45 grams of 12 volume. And so one of the biggest and the best, in my opinion, reasons for using Magix, especially as a 10-minute color line. So if I wasn't pulling her ends through, I would start my timer now, give it 10 minutes, and then I would go and wash her. But with Magix 10, unlike any other 10-minute color that I have tested, it's not progressive. So if I leave it on longer than 10 minutes, I don't have to worry about it getting darker or getting murkier or getting more opaque. I don't have to worry about that. So I can do my low light and leave this on for longer than 10 minutes, and that's totally fine, which is the biggest game changer. I'm going to turn you this way. The biggest game changer in the 10-minute color world, because most people will use 10-minute color only for gray coverage clients, but they don't want to bring it on for every other service. So I'm here to tell you that any service that you do in the salon can be done with Magix 10. If you go on our Instagram and watch some of the stylist spotlight takeovers, you'll see they bleach, they tone, they root smudge, they shadow root, they gray cover, all of the services that we do can be done in half the time using Magix 10. Okay, so it's not just for your gray coverage clients. Although most people, maybe you'll bring it on just for that, you'll slowly start to see, like Elise uses a lot of our toners. So she will use our high lift blondes with our low developer and our morph, which is a pH adjusting drops. And she will use Magix to tone her beautiful blondes. Nikki will root melt, root smudge, and tone with Magix 10. So just know it's not just for gray coverage. Every service that's done can be done in half the time. So typically you want to start your timer once you finish applying. You don't have to panic. Well, what if I'm slow at applying? You know, the only thing I'll tell you is this. Come this way just a little. Thank you. If it's going to take you longer than 30 minutes to apply, I would just mix a fresh bowl of color. And this is not just with Magix, this is just in general, because those dyes start oxidizing and you might not get that deposit that you're wanting. Just so you know what I'm doing for her lowlights, it's not like a fancy technique. I put her root color on, and then I'm just taking horizontal sections and just taking big chunky weaves and pulling this 7.0 through her ends. Again, it's not like a fancy technique. All I'm doing is creating some natural organic dimension through her hair. So I leave about a 1/4 inch between, and then I'll take a little chunkier weave.
And
in case
Araz,
anybody
are you
cares.
prepping the hair prior to all color services?
Well, I have her come with clean, dry hair, and she has Magic's OneUp. So she will put it in when her hair is dry, and then she comes in and we color her hair. So Magic's OneUp is something that, I mean, I just send it home with my clients too, because why not? Along with shampoo and conditioner, make sure they come with clean hair, not dirty hair. If you're applying on dirty hair, you're not going to get good results, okay? The color is going to have to work even harder to penetrate and deposit if there's 4 layers of dry shampoo and 3 hot yoga sessions, okay? It's not, and I know clients do that. They'll be like, oh, I left my hair dirty for you. It's not what I wanted. It does not make it easier. So clean, dry, or clean, damp hair is fine. OneUp, I think I have some here I can show you. This is what OneUp looks like. It's a little spray, okay? And this is like a pre-color treatment. So if the client has gray hair and you want better gray coverage, you can spray OneUp on their hair. If you're pulling color all the way through and you want to kind of even out the porosity so that the color can deposit better, OneUp is going to help you do that. If your client has a sensitive scalp and they get a little tingly with like color, what we're not going to do is we're not going to put Sweet and Low in our bowl. You're not baking. We are hair colorists. So there are products to help with that sensitivity. So OneUp has that. The polyamine sugars, niacin, vitamins, all in OneUp help with the better gray coverage, the evening out of the porosity, and the scalp sensitivities that clients may experience if they have a sensitivity to ammonia. So what I want to talk about really quickly, and then I know there's questions, right, Jordan?
Just a few, but we're pretty much caught up. But while you're still on OneUp, is it going to be back on the website or on it at all to order? Because Katie says that she's in love, but just couldn't find it on the website.
So Katie, who's your distributor? So your Magic's products, guys, we don't ship direct from Magic's. We have a network of incredible and amazing and supportive distributors across North America and Canada, and they get you your products. So depending on who your distributor is and what their inventory looks like, it could be that maybe it's an inventory issue. I don't know if you guys know this, but shipping and freight has been interesting. So did she say who her distributor is?
Yep, just now. Scottsdale, so Beauty Solutions.
Beauty Solutions.
So
Okay.
she'll give them a call.
Yeah, talk to Elle or Julia, whoever your rep is, or and they will help you get some OneUp. Yeah, OneUp is amazing. And it's just a great support product to make sure your color results are the bomb.
I personally use it and I love it.
It really, especially if you do like on scalp bleaching. So I don't do that. I don't do bleach and tones. It's just not my thing. However, I have found that a lot of people who do love using the OneUp so that it kind of helps with some of that tingling from the bleach on scalp. So I've heard amazing things for those who do bleach and tones. I use it primarily for my gray coverage clients or if I'm pulling color all the way through. What I want to talk about really quickly, because I'm almost done with low lighting her, is the technology behind Magic's 10. So Jordan and I and all the people in the chat have been talking about how it's so wonderful and it's changed our business and people are in love and all of that is awesome, right? But if you're anything like me, you want to know why. How does this work? Why does it work? And why isn't everybody else doing it? And so I want to cover 2 things that makes Magic's 10 technology-wise a little bit unique, a little bit different. So number 1 is spectrum technology. And all that means is we are using micropigments. Micropigments are not new. There's other manufacturers who use different micropigments, but the micropigments that we're using are very rare. They're higher in quality than others. And you got to know that because we call it spectrum technology. So the pigments are a lot smaller, okay? Which means they can get in the hair easier. So we don't need high alkalinity. So I'll tell you this, like most other 10-minute colors, here's the ideology behind it. Here's the technology behind it. High alkalinity heavy dye load. Okay. And the reason for that is this. The high alkalinity does what? If something is very high in alkalinity, what does it do to the hair? Does it swell it or does it constrict it? Chat box. If I put a product that is high in alkalinity, what does it do to the hair? We're going back to beauty school.
Swell.
Yes.
It's my DJ moment. Swell.
Get it. So the thing about it this way, the higher the ammonia, the higher the alkalinity, the faster that swelling happens. The faster that swelling happens, the more potential damage can occur. Okay, so this is other technology. High in alkalinity, so let's blast the cuticle open, and then they do a heavy dye load. So for those of you, I asked earlier, how many of you have used other 10-minute color and what was your results? We all agreed, sometimes it's a little dark, sometimes it's a little murky, it looks a little helmet heady. And the reason for that is that it's got a heavier dye load. This is why other 10-minute colors are progressive. So progressive meaning you leave it on longer than 10 minutes, your level 8 at minute 12 is like looking like a level 6. At minute 15, maybe it's looking like a level 4, and you're having a panic attack like, I need to wash this off. So that's old technology. And does that work for today's hairdresser? Would that work? High alkalinity, put your head down a little bit, and this heavy dye load that you have to wash off in 10 minutes or you're screwed, that doesn't work.
No.
So what works, again, like I said at the beginning, at the top of this, guys, Moan's ideology is how do we help the hairdresser? How can we make their life easier? So you can't have a color that's progressive. You can't have a color that's going to get darker, because what if another client is running late? Or what if something happens and you can't wash it off in 10 minutes? With Magix, you don't have to worry about that. Okay. So Magix theory, Magix technology, Magix ideology is, okay, we don't need high alkalinity. Let me set a timer. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes. Perfect. Okay. And so we don't need higher alkalinity. We don't need a heavy dye load. So we are low in ammonia, gently opening the cuticle, gently. And then the dyes that are used are smaller in size, they're smaller in weight, which means they can get into that slightly swollen hair fiber instead of like blasting it open and packing it with dye, smaller. But here's the key. Once they get into the hair, they couple, they combine, they like stick together and get bigger, which means your color isn't going to fade. Okay, so this is the difference in how the hair color builds in the hair is just different with Magix 10 than any other 10-minute color. They couple more efficiently, they combine quicker, allowing this process to happen in 10 minutes. So that's part one. And part two is our developers. So you heard me talking about how I mixed it with 21 volume. If you don't know Magix, you're like, what the heck is 21? What happened to 20 volume? Or I said 12, what the heck is 12? What happened to 10? And so our developers are slightly more oxygenated. Maybe you've heard it this way. So the job of developer in the whole hair coloring process, it has three main jobs, right? The number one job is to develop the dyes. So if I put hair color in a bowl and I don't put developer, those dyes aren't going to develop. They're just going to be there. So the developer develops the dyes. The developer also carries, maybe you heard it like this, it's the gas, right? The oxygen in the developer pushes those hair color molecules into the hair along with the ammonia, gets it into the hair. And then number three, it lightens and creates undertone, it fractures melanin. So if the developer is the gas, our developer has a little bit more gas to get these smaller micropigments into the hair quicker. So instead of a 10 volume, we have a 12 volume. Instead of a 20 volume, we have 21. Instead of a 30, we have a 32. So it's the spectrum technology, the micropigments, coupled with the little bit of extra oxygen in our developers to make this process happen in 10 minutes. Okay, does that make sense? Is that clear? Am I clear?
I'm putting the different volumes in the chat so people.
Oh, I'm like, why is it quiet? Where'd you go?
I'm here. I've been giving little recaps for everyone in case they weren't listening.
I love you. I know it's hard on Zoom. We get so distracted. I get it. So I just want to say thank you guys for being here. And for giving us this hour of your time, because I think that once you get Magix in your hands in your salon, it will change everything for you. It will change everything. So I'm going to take this camera again and see if I could do a better job.
Is Magix 10 cruelty free or vegan?
It is cruelty free. We do not test on animals. Where are we at? Okay, here we go. So I want to show you guys that how she's processing. I don't have a glove on, so hang on. So yeah, we're not certified vegan. We're not certified cruelty free, but there is no animal testing and there's no animal byproducts in the color. Okay, so I'm just gonna. So you guys remember how gray she was right there? Can we see that we already got that coverage? I know this is really shaky. I may not do this again for a webinar. You guys are my guinea pigs. Probably can't see too well, so. Look at this. I don't know if I'll use that again. Was that too blurry?
You could see it a little bit, but yes, it was a little blurry.
Okay.
That's okay. You'll become a pro at that.
I'm like either that or like I need it on a selfie stick, or maybe Jordan, you can come to California and just co-host with me in my salon instead.
Come on, ding, 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 Magix 10, fly me out there.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. So before my timer goes off, I want to make sure that I hit some important points. So we talked about the spectrum technology and how the hair color works in this 10-minute process. Something that you also need to know is that in every tube of color, in every bottle of developer, and almost every product that we make except for Morph and bleach, we have a complex called Caravage 18. So for those of you who've used Magix, you know what this is. It is in the color, it's already in everything, but it's what is mostly responsible for the shine that comes with using Magix 10, for the integrity and the health of the hair while using Magix 10. So I think about it like this. So it's basically plant-based amino acids and keratin proteins. So there's arginine, serine, threonine, soy protein, wheat protein. So if you have a client that has a gluten or wheat sensitivity, we do use wheat protein. And I've seen it come up a couple of times where, stylists, you need to know that, right? Like if a client does have a wheat allergy, there's soy protein, there might be a reaction. So either don't or do a patch test. But Caravage 18 is what is, in my mind, how I look at it. It's like a hair mask. It's got the conditioning properties. It's got the smoothing and softening and making sure that that lipid barrier is getting more intact, but it's already in the tubes. It's in the bottles. So when you use Magix, and maybe those of you who've used it, can you attest to the shine and the condition of the hair just always feels almost better when we use Magix. And that's because of the Caravage 18. Are we getting high fives for that, Jordan?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
So I have something. It's a question that's been waiting. It's from Tom, and he asked it again. I just didn't want to interrupt you.
Okay.
If you apply 5.0 and 5.00 neutral besides each other on different swatches in a hair without gray hair, will 5.00 neutral seem darker?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I did that. Well, I swatched it out on fabric, the 5.0, the 5.00, and the 5.00N. And the reason it will seem darker again is because it's more saturated. The way the dyes are built is a little bit more opaque. So when you put them side by side, I would say that it would look visually about half a level darker, the 5.00N versus the 5.0 Cool Natural. So the 0.00N family, again, designed for extra gray coverage, right? So what do we need for extra gray coverage? We need a more opaque, we need a more heavily saturated color, but that's not progressive. That's not going to get darker. That's not going to look flat. We still want multi-dimensional. And so yes, it will appear slightly darker. So if you were going to use the true neutrals as your first time with Magix, depending on what you were using before, I would keep that in mind in knowing, okay, the 5 may look like a 4.5. The 6 may look like a 5, depending on the canvas that you're putting it on, but be mindful, it's designed to be more saturated. So disclaimer. And hopefully that answers that question.
Yes, and does it contain tree nuts for clients that have an allergy to this?
I've never been asked that. Let me think. No, there shouldn't be any tree. The only thing that could potentially have tree nuts would be Caravage 18, but there is no tree nuts in Caravage 18. So I think you're good to go. I've never been asked that. So no tree nuts, just the wheat protein or the soy protein. Okay. What else do I want to cover? Okay, so there's still a lot that I want to cover. I'm going to try to make this quick. So, you know, we have the 12, 21, 32, and 40 volume developers. We also have Fix. So Fix is going to be, I can do this. There we go. So Fix is a 6 volume. This is what you would use if you want to transform any Magix 10 color, any of these. And we have more colors than what's on here. We've added the new True Neutrals, and we have a couple different ash families. But any of these colors, if you want them to be an alkaline demi-permanent, you would mix any of them with Fix, which is our 6 volume developer. And now you have an alkaline demi-permanent, okay? But here's like the most magical thing, and I know Elise loves this, I love it too, but is our Morph drops. So when you take Magix Morph, okay, it's in a bottle like this, you only need a couple of drops. There's mixing ratios. I can get them to you if you need them. Magix Morph will take any Magix color. When you mix it with our Fix developer and you add Morph, it is now an acidic demi. Acidic demi. So anytime you want to tone highlights and there's virgin hair that you don't want to shift, you can use Morph in your formula so that it is a true deposit only acidic demi. Oh, that is my timer. So Morph is, like I said, a true acidic demi. And this is what will transform any of the Magix color into an acidic demi. With that being said, that was my timer. I'm gonna go wash our model. And so I'm gonna turn my camera and mic off. But when I bring her back, I'll have my camera on while I blow dry her. But Jay is going to be sharing some educational videos. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the True Neutrals, we have a video that I used it on 3 models so you can see the results. There's 2 videos for Morph. So it's just going to give me enough time to blow dry. Jay, are you ready to share videos?
I'm more than ready.
Yay. Okay, guys, I'm going to go wash her. And then when I come back, I'll turn my camera on. You probably won't see me, but it will be maybe somewhere in the corner there. So I'm going to go wash her. You guys got it from here? Yes? No, maybe? Yes. Okay. Bye, guys.
Jay, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but there's no sound on this video.
The opportunity to see the True Neutrals on
Now is there?
Yes.
One of our models came for True Neutrals. This model has about 16% salt and pepper hair in the front of her hairline, and in the back of her hairline, she's closer to about 40% salt and pepper. She's a natural level 5. The goal today is to get all of her grades covered, lightening up her natural slightly, and making sure that we have a beautiful, even coverage with the True Neutrals. So what I'll be using today is our level 6.00N, which is level 6 True Neutral with 21 volume. So before doing any Magix color application, we recommend that you spray OneUp on the hair. So if you're doing just the root area, you want to make sure you spray OneUp in the root area. If you're pulling color all the way through, you can actually spray OneUp all the way through. With Christina, I'll be just doing her root, so I'm going to focus the OneUp on her root area. So what this is going to do is it's going to help me get better grade coverage. It's also going to help with any scalp sensitivities that clients may experience because of the polyanic sugars. It will help if clients experience itchiness. It's also going to equal out the porosity and give me better gray coverage. So I always refer to OneUp as a PreColor treatment, and I use it on every single one of my clients before we do any color. So I just finished my application, and now I will set my timer for 10 minutes. Wanted to show you guys the final result of Christina's hair. If you guys remember, the front portion of her hair was about 60% white, and we had about 40% white in the back of her hair. Quick formula recap, I used the True Neutrals in a level 6, so 6.00N with 21 volume in 10 minutes, and look at the beautiful coverage that we got in just 10 minutes. Okay, so this is my next model, Christina. If you guys can see, Christina is about 90% white gray hair, and she likes her color a little bit more deeper. So she likes to have a lot of blonde highlights, but we like to add a little bit of depth in between. So today what we're going to do is just cover her white hair, and I'm using the True Neutral family in a level 7. So the level 7.00N. And that is going to give me the most perfectly balanced gray coverage for her white hair. So I'm going to spray the Magix OneUp on her roots. Again, we want to just make sure that we get the best gray coverage possible, help with any scalp sensitivities, and even out all her porosity. So I just finished her application. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes, wash her, blow her out, and I can't wait for you guys. I wanted to show you the final result from our model, Christina. If you guys remember, she's 90% white, and the formula that I used for her was level 7 True Neutral, so level 7.00N. So I used the True Neutral that gave me a perfect balance for gray coverage. I used it with 21 volume for 10 minutes, and this is the beautiful and gorgeous result that we got using the new True Neutrals from Magix 10. I'm excited to share with you guys my next model. This is Vera, and I want you guys to take a look at her roots. She is about 80% white, and she likes to be a very light pastel blonde. So for Vera, I'm actually using the True Neutrals in a level 9, so 9.00N with 21 volume to get full gray coverage and get rid of these. So again, I'm spraying OneUp on the root areas to make sure that I'm going to ensure proper gray coverage. So I just finished my application. I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 10 minutes. And just as a reminder, I used our level 9 True Neutral, which is 9.00N with 21 volume. As soon as this timer goes off, we will wash her, style her, and you guys will see the beautiful gray coverage that we're going to get with the True Neutral. So I wanted to show you the final results from our last model. So just as a quick reminder, she was about 80% white, unpigmented gray hair, and I used the level 9 in the True Neutrals for her. So level 9.00N with 21 volume. I mixed equal parts, 1 part color, 1 part developer to get the most beautiful gray coverage at a level 9. So just wanted to share these beautiful results with the level 9 True Neutral. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you're excited as I am to try the True Neutrals on all of your clients. As I always say, until next time, happy hair coloring. Magic's Morph is an acid toner transformer with CareVeg 18, transforming any Magic's 10 hair color into a gentle acidic color. By using Morph, you can achieve a true acidic semi-permanent color. And using Morph will help enhance the reflex of the chosen shade and also eliminate any off-standard colors. Say goodbye to unwanted warmth during toning when you use Morph with Magic's 10. Morph will help lower the pH level of Magic's 10, transforming it into a delicate semi-permanent color with zero lightening properties.
Hi, everyone. Give us just a second. We are just getting the next video up and going. We apologize for the volume.
Hello, everybody. Araz Nelson here, lead educator with MOAN. And today I'm super excited to introduce you to the newest member of the MOAN International family, Morph. Magic's Morph is an acid toner transformer with CareVeg 18, transforming any Magic's 10 hair color into a gentle acidic color. So today I'm excited to share with you and show you how to use Morph with our Ultra Lift Blondes family to create a gorgeous toner on our model, Alyssa. What we've done so far is pre-lightened her to a level 9-10 pale yellow. And I'm gonna use our Ultra Lift family along with Morph to tone down some of this warmth. I'm choosing to use 108. Now, when it comes to mixing Morph with the Ultra Lift Blonde family, what you want to do is mix 15 grams of the Ultra Lift Blonde and 2 grams of Morph. So I'm going to pour 15 grams of 108 in my bowl, 22 grams of Fix Developer, because I'm mixing 1.5 to 1. And then I will add 2 grams of Morph. What this is going to do is help acidify the formula. And 2 grams of Morph. So by adding the Morph into my formula, one of the benefits of it is it does reduce the smell of the ammonia. So sometimes with a permanent toner, what can happen is because of the alkalinity, you can get something like a base bump. But the cool thing about Morph is when I mix it into my formula, it's going to eliminate the possibility of that happening. So I'm getting a true acidic deposit only effect. I typically like the front to be a little bit brighter and for it to pop. So a good way to avoid getting rid of that pop is to tone it last. So I'm excited to show you the reveal of our model today. Just I mixed 1 part of 108 to 1.5 parts of Fix, which is our 6-volume developer. And I used Morph in that formula. By the looks of it, her hair looks and feels so much healthier. And the 108 helped to refine some of that warmth that was exposed during the lightening process. I think she looks absolutely incredible, and her hair looks and feels a lot healthier and shinier. So I hope you found this video helpful. As always, please make sure to follow us on social media. And until next time, happy hair coloring.
Introducing the all-new Vault from Nordic Track. It's what's inside that inspires,
Skate towards the goal. Come on.
motivates,
Educator with Moan, and today I'm very excited to share with you some information about our Ultra Lift Blonde family with Magix 10. Our Ultra Lift Blonde family is unlike any other high lift color on the market because it processes in just 20 minutes. Yes, lift and toning in just 20 minutes, saving colorists at least 30 minutes in processing time. No need to worry about being too aggressive on the hair or causing any kind of damage, thanks to CareVeg 18, which is a proprietary blend of amino acids, soy and wheat proteins, and helps in maintaining the integrity of the hair and creating lustrous shine, durability, and color longevity. Magix 10 Ultra Lift Blondes can give you 3 to 4 levels of lift when mixed with double 40 developer, and can be used as a toner when mixed with Fix, which is a 6-volume developer. When using the Ultra Lifts, it's important to consider who is a good candidate for an Ultra Lift Blonde service. The ideal client for a Ultra Lift Blonde color application is somebody who is naturally a level 6 and above, has fine to medium textured hair, was naturally a sandy blonde or a blonde as a child, and somebody who doesn't mind a little bit of warmth. If you're looking for a neutral to warmer result, you could use the 100, which is a neutral background, the 103, which is a gold background, or the 104, which is a strawberry beige background. Our model today, in my opinion, is the perfect candidate for an Ultra Lift blonding service. The first thing that I will do is determine her natural level, starting in the back where her hair is naturally the darkest. I pull a 7.0 and an 8.0 and determine that her natural level is closer to an 8. The formula that I decided to use for her was equal parts of 100 and 103, a natural tone and a golden tone. Because she likes her hair to be on the warmer side, this is the perfect formula for her. As you can see when I'm mixing the color, using double 40 gives me a very creamy consistency. It's super easy to apply. Before any application, I spray on Magix OneUp spray, which has CareVeg 18, niacin, polyamine sugars, and this will help with shine, longevity of color, and also with any scalp sensitivities. When it comes to applying an Ultra Lift Blonde, I always recommend starting in the back of the head where the hair is the darkest. Make sure and take small sections and saturate heavily. And always remember, set your timer 20 minutes. Once my timer goes off, I always check the results before I shampoo. It's always recommended to use the Magix 10 shampoo and conditioner when shampooing your clients because the CareVeg 18 formula is also in the shampoo and conditioner. Once your client is shampooed and conditioned, we recommend spraying the color defining spray all over. This will help not only detangle the hair, but will also help acidify the hair after a coloring service. As I'm drying and styling, you can see that her color lifted absolutely beautifully and is a great match to her ends. One of the reasons I love the Ultra Lift Blondes from Magix 10, despite the fact that it processes in 20 minutes, is that it is a lift and tone in one step, making my life as a stylist significantly easier. And there you have it, guys. 3 levels of lift in just 20 minutes using Magix 10 Ultra Lift Blondes. Quick formula recap. I mixed equal parts of 100 and 103 with double 40 volume and process for just 20 minutes. Her hair looks incredibly beautiful and shiny. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and please make sure to follow us on social. Until next time, this is Laraz and happy hair coloring. Okay, can you guys hear me and see me?
Yes, thumbs up.
We good? Okay, so hi, Magic. Voila. So I didn't get to dry or like all of her hair, but I wanted to make sure that the front and the top and the sides were dry. So I'm going to attempt this thing one more time and see if we can get a nice close-up so that you guys can see our results. So I'm gonna go like this. Okay. Can you guys see? Is it too blurry?
It's a little blurry, but it looks pretty good.
Okay. So I wanted to show you close up what that gray coverage looks like in 10 minutes. Turn towards me, babe. You guys see how beautiful and shiny and reflective, but there's no gray. Zero. It's all the way gone. What do you guys think? Magical?
Yeah, and as a viewer looking on, it may seem like the daylight are grays showing through her color application, but that is not the case at all. That's just the lighting, I think, from outside.
Yeah, I think because I have two big windows right in front of me.
Mhm.
So the close up, maybe we can also do this. You want to come a little, we're going to figure this out because I want you guys to see how
That it
beautiful-
covered the gray.
Yeah, and how like beautiful it looks.
To the camera.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have you do in a second.
People are saying, wow, beautiful, beautiful, looks
Yay.
great.
Okay, so I'm going to spotlight really quickly. Okay, let's walk up and get down, down, right, up, up, up. All right, can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So you can see that there is no like grays that are not covered. Let me lower this light a little.
The light is a little
Too bright.
blown
Oh.
out. Yeah.
We can do this.
It's always tough with video. Oh, wait, dim it just a little bit because you kind of saw it more when it was a little bit dimmer.
No, like that?
Mm,
No.
no.
All right, step back a little.
There you
Okay.
go. That looks good.
All right, so I want you guys to see, like I'm opening her hair, her part. There's no, it's fully covered, guys. 100%, this is where she's really gray. It is gone. Okay, so I'm gonna have you sit back. And just from this angle, you guys saw her before, it was way lighter on the ends. You see how we just added that dimension, but it's just a very organic low light to overall darken her a little bit, but she still has those lighter pieces. So absolutely gorgeous, that shine. I put no product in it. I just shampooed with Magic shampoo and Magic's conditioner, and this was our final result. So
It's gorgeous. Yay!
beautiful.
Somebody wants to know why you did not use Fix instead of 12 volume though for this client.
Good question. So I wanted a long-lasting alkaline demi. So had I used Fix, so think about it this way, the higher the developer that you use, the more gas it has, right? So the more gas it has, the further the color penetrates into the cortex. So when I use Fix as an alkaline demi, it will stay in the cuticle layers and maybe a little bit get into the cortex. But when I use 12 volume with a level 7, I'm ensuring those dye molecules to get in a little bit deeper and to stay locked in a little bit longer. Her hair tends to fade out in the sun and in the water, especially over the summer. So why I would choose to use a 12 volume is to make it last longer than with the Fix because it's going deeper. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Any other? So you can actually. I know she can't hear, but round of applause.
Bravo. It looks great.
She's got great hair. Okay, so I want to take a couple of minutes for some questions. So I know we watched the Ultra Lift Blonde video. So you guys got to see how the high lifts work in just 20 minutes. You guys got to see a couple of morph videos. So any questions I can ask or I can answer on anything that I covered or anything that you watched. I know you guys got to see all my different hairstyles over the last 2 years with those videos, but any technical questions that I can answer.
Can you ever lift to a cool blonde?
So for that model in the video, we use the 103, which is gold. So if the client has fine hair and they are like a level 7 or 8, you can get one. There's so many factors, right? It depends on how much eumelanin or pheomelanin they have, what their natural level is. Have I seen it happen? Yes, but it's like a unicorn situation for it to get cool. A neutral, definitely possible. For cool, you might have to do a tone afterwards to cool it down a little bit because virgin hair just tends to have a lot of warmth. But you can definitely get to like a neutral with the high lift blondes. Neutral leaning on the cool side, but if you're wanting that smoky, silvery, if it's the perfect client, it can happen. Most likely, you might need to do a double process.
Okay. And can you highlight using bleach while the color is processing? Like the root color, the base?
Put a couple different ways. I like to highlight first.
We're having a hard time hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? We're good?
Yes.
Okay, so I tend to do it the other way where I will highlight first. I'll get all my foils in and then I'll go do my base color. If you're the stylist that likes to apply the base first and then highlight over that, that's totally fine. Again, I mean, I would recommend don't leave the color on for like an hour, but if you need to leave it on for 20 or 30 minutes, 40 max, you can. It's not going to get darker. It's just the color is designed to be applied and just left on for 10 minutes. So when you leave it on for 40 minutes, it's just traveling deeper into the hair, which means it might be harder to remove if you're leaving it on in like an hour. I've tested at 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and 1 hour. Visually, they look the same. The one that was left on an hour was a little bit harder to lift back up. That was just my testing experience, right? And maybe you guys have a different experience. But if you need to leave the color on longer, you're fine. Again, this isn't just designed for 10-minute gray coverage where it's gonna get darker. This isn't an extra line in this big color family. This is all we do. So it is perfected, it is crafted to work for our industry today. It works, and it makes it just easier for you to cut your timing and processing timing in half. So this client, my model, her appointment is usually an hour long. So she comes in, I put her root color, we weaved some low lights through, wash, trim, and she's gone in an hour. So think about it this way, guys. What is your pricing for a root retouch? So let's do hypothetical, say it's $100, okay? Typically that client with traditional color is in your chair from an hour and a half to 2 hours. So you're averaging, let's say it's 2 hours. Okay, this is all hypothetical. Just want you guys to think. So $100, she's there. What happens? That is.
We're having mic issues again.
We're having mic issues. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
What, I need to hold it here like this. Okay, so I'm gonna just hold my battery pack. But here, think about it this way. So if that client is in your chair for 2 hours and you're averaging $50 an hour, what happens if that appointment time now gets dropped to 1 hour? So in 2 hours, you're seeing 2 clients at $100 each. You just gave yourself a 100% raise. So in 2 hours, you can make $100 with traditional color. In 2 hours, you can make $200 with Magic's 10. So think about it. And that's why I speak so passionately about how this can change your business. If you have a lot of clients that come in just for retouch or partial, or, you know, they're typically there for 2 hours, you're cutting your timing by 60 or 70%. That equals you making more money. That equals you recouping everything you lost during pandemic times. That means that you can double your income. If you don't want to do that, that means you can work half a day and make the same amount of money. So, and again, it's not just for gray coverage. You can tone, you can root smudge, you can full color. everything that you do with traditional color, you can do with Magix 10. So it's definitely game changer. Any other questions though, before I keep rambling on?
Is there a time when you would use a different developer for gray coverage?
Yes, great question. So this is now me speaking from a stylist perspective. So with Magix 10, we always recommend 21 volume for proper best gray coverage. That's how it's tested. That's going to give you the best results. However, if you have a client that has fine hair, and if you've been into any of my classes, you know, texture is more important than what you're lifting to, what you're putting on, and what developer you're using. So if they have finer hair, then sometimes I will opt to use a 12 volume for gray coverage instead of 21. If I want to do a gray blending, right? If I don't want a full opaque coverage, I can maybe use a 12 volume and give it a blend, even fix, right? For my male clients, I will use whatever color, level 4 or 5 or 3, depending, with our 6 volume to do a gray blending. That's where the hair looks like it's more salt than pepper. And then I blend it so that it looks like it has more pepper than salt. So there are different times and situations where you could use a different developer. However, 99.9% of the time, 21 volume is what you want to use. It's going to give you the best dye development and longevity of color, in my opinion.
That same person, I think you already answered that, but with the blondes in the video, could you use a 32 volume for more lift and still have the coverage? Or what you just said?
Yes. Yes, you could. Yeah. In that case, I would probably, okay. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the question is this, that if you're doing gray coverage on a blonde and you want more lift, can you use 32 volume? The answer is
still
yes.
Achieve the gray coverage.
And still achieve the gray coverage. Yes. However, because you're using a higher developer, and what that's going to do is it's going to create more undertone and it's going to shear out your deposit. I would then formulate half a level darker, compensate for the 32 volume. So instead of using a 9, I would use a 9 and a little bit of an 8 to make sure that I get that coverage while achieving that lift with the 32 volume. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And will there be a 4.00 neutral in the future?
I don't know. I would assume yes. However, I'm not sure. So here's the thing. At a level 4, the 4.0 by itself, I haven't had any problem getting gray coverage with, even on 100%, because it's so dark in pigment. I haven't had a problem with it. However, I think that when the time comes and there's a need for it, I'm pretty sure that they can have that formulation available. But I found that 4.0 and a little bit of 4 point gold that I would add for resistant gray, that gives me that coverage that I need.
And will there be more true neutral shades coming out?
So we have the true neutrals in a level 5 to 10. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Anything, like I said, below a 5, like our 3.0 will get you 100% gray coverage. However, if you're feeling like that's not the case, you might want to add gold. So in a roundabout way, will there be more? I don't have the answer to that. I would assume that if the need comes up, then there will be, but I think that between a 5 and a 10, that's usually the range that we typically use for gray coverage. So that's my answers. I don't know.
And for ultra lift blondes, what are the 3 things to make sure of when using Magix 10?
What are the 3 things to make sure?
Yeah, make sure of when lift for ultra lift blondes.
Oh, I feel like this is a Jeopardy question. There's so many variables there. Okay, so number 1, depending on the result, make sure that the client is at the right level. So if you're putting an ultra lift blonde on somebody that has my hair color, please know it's not going to look like the swatch. It's just not going to. So make sure that you're at the right level for the result. Make sure that you mix your formula 2 to 1. So 1 part color, 2 parts 40 volume. So this is pretty standard, guys. Double 40 with high lifts is a normal thing. So make sure that you mix it and weigh it, and then time it for 20 minutes. Tonal direction. So our high lift, we have 6 different ones to choose from, and they are 100, which is a neutral, 101, which is an ash, like a blue-green ash, 102, which is like a blue-violet, 103, which is gold, 104, which is my favorite to tone with. It's like a nudie pinky copper. It's like a really sheared out copper. And then we have 108, which is like a pearly blue violet. Okay. One thing to consider with the Ultra Lift, if I put this here, Jordan, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have to hold it like a bouquet on my wedding day. Okay, so the Ultra Lift Blondes, mind you guys, this is an older swatch book. The newer ones, the swatches are longer and it just looks prettier, but I'm partial to this one because I've had it since a long time ago. Here's one thing to consider, 0.00. You probably cannot see it in this screen. However, this whole row is the high lift blondes. And then right here, there's a little swatch, it's 0.00. I want you to know that that swatch serves two purposes. If you're using it with a high lift color, it is meant to give additional lift. It's straight alkalinity. So if you need maybe half to one more level of lift, you would mix 0.00 in with your high lift formula up to half. So you could do half 101, half 0.00, double 40 volume. That's going to give you more boost, more lift, more alkalinity. If you use 0.00 with any of our colors and you're wanting to tone with an acidic demi, the 0.00 can be used as a clear to shear out the deposit. So if you're dealing with a client that has really porous hair and you're afraid that it's going to grab too violet or go too blue or go too gray, the 0.00 in that situation, when mixed with Morph, will shear out that deposit and act like a clear. So if you don't put it in your formula with Morph, it's just going to give you more lift. If you put it in your formula with Morph, it's like a clear to dilute the tone. Does that make sense?
Yes. And Carolyn was in, she actually asked about a clear gloss earlier while you were shampooing. And so Carolyn, just go ahead and chat us and let us know if that answered your question, because she deals with a lot of ocean and salt in the air where her salon is. But if their tone is still good, she wanted to know what she could use in the Magix line just to create a gloss.
Yeah, so then I would do 0.00 with Fix and Morph. And what that's going to do is that Caravage 18, the base that the color is made of, like all the surfactants and the solvents, all of that is in the 0.00. There's just no tone. So you can do that with Fix and Morph, and it's just almost like a top coat, like a little gloss.
And for that scenario, you would recommend always using the Fix developer, yes?
Absolutely. Yeah, because all we're doing is just trying to seal the cuticle or trying to just deposit in the cuticle layers. We're not trying to lift. Now, if you're doing it as a high lift, if you're using it with high lift, then with double 40, that's going to give you more lift, more alkalinity, more brightness. Something that came into my mind, I don't know if anyone answered or asked this question. The high lift blondes do not give gray coverage. So a high lift blonde is not for gray coverage. High lift is designed to lift, and like slightly deposit. Gray coverage, we have way more deposit. So if you have a 100% white client and you use a high lift with a violet, their white will look violet. I'm telling you from now, don't do it.
Yeah. And can you only tone with the high lifts? I'm not sure if, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the high lifts are what you can tone with if you're trying to get the least amount of deposit. Like if the hair is really porous and you don't want like a heavy dye load, then the high lifts with the 0.00 just to shear out and like slightly refine. But any of the colors can be used as toners, which is basically your choice of alkaline demi, long lasting demi, or acidic demi.
That's usually what I use.
You use what?
Colors for toning.
Yes.
Any of the levels. Yep.
So one of my favorite, like I have a lot of brunette clients that like a little bit of a balayage, but they don't want it to be orangey. The 6.71, it's a level 6 warm brown that has a little bit of ash in it. That's one of my absolute favorite toners. And I use it as an alkaline demi after I lift the hair to like a level 8 to tone down. Gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, because it doesn't make it ashy. It just doesn't make it orange, but it's a level 6. Even with 90R model, I did a long lasting demi on the ends with a level 7. So toning is a service that we do, but how you choose to do that service is really up to you. So do you want it acidic? Do you want it alkaline? Do you want it long lasting? All we're really doing is depositing color. So how much color you want deposited? Well, that depends on the level you use and the level you lifted to. So hope that answers that question.
And for everybody that is new and has never used Magix 10, I just want to share with us Tom, his experience. He had great results with the first lift with lift 7 with 12 volume for 20 minutes, wash and mix 102 and 108 with 32 volume for an additional 20 minutes. And he said it was spot on and a beautiful cool blonde. Yay.
Awesome. Thank you for that. You guys, I want to acknowledge that we have gone way over time. And like I said in the beginning, we will go longer depending on the questions. So here's what I want to offer for you. I will put my or Jordan, can you put my Instagram handle? And if you could put my email, it's araz@magix10usa.com. For those of you, she will put that. If you have any additional questions, you can message me. You can also message Jordan. She can put her Instagram on there as well. And so for those of you who are interested in trying it and you haven't gotten your hands on it yet, I want you to go to www.magix10usa.com. When you go there, there will be a button that says Get Magix. You click on that, you put in your location, and your distributor will come up. So depending on where you're at in North America or Canada, your distributor will pop up with all of their contact information. Most, if not all of our distributors have awesome try me deals, small intros for you to play around with the color. So there is an opportunity there for you to try Magix. Just go to magix10usa.com. Follow me on Instagram, send me a DM. I will be more than happy to troubleshoot if I can. And so any other additional questions, I will give it one more go around. Thank you guys for staying and tuning in. I didn't realize it was already almost 2 hours. Clearly I can talk hair color for a really long time. So this has been recorded. If you will get a copy to watch the replay in the next few days. So I just want to say from my heart, thank you guys. I appreciate you. Happy hair coloring. Have fun with Magix 10 and change your business.
Happy Monday. Go order your Magix 10 now.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.
Bye.